The galaxy was wide, filled with countless stars, countless civilizations, and endless wars. But in every corner of it, one story refused to die. It was the story of the Deathworlders, the humans. Many claimed they were only myths, tales told to frighten younglings into obedience. Scholars dismissed them, saying no records proved such a people ever existed. They said no species could survive on a world so hostile. A planet of storms, predators, earthquakes, and fire. They laughed at the stories, shaking their heads at the foolishness of the past. But captains, mercenaries, and wanderers told different stories in the shadow of taverns. They whispered about human fleets that once appeared in wars, about ships that vanished into the dark without leaving wreckage, about battles where whole empires simply disappeared. The galaxy had forgotten many things, but the name human lingered, not as history, but as a warning. For centuries, no proof appeared, and so belief faded to most of the galaxy. Humans were not real. They were ghosts. They were only myths. Until the day the desperate signal went out. On the edge of the Andron sector, a small coalition fleet ran for its life. Their ships were scarred, shields flickering, hulls split open. Behind them, the Empire's iron ships followed. The Empire was merciless. They hunted down every rival and burned them into ash. The coalition had fought bravely, but now they were broken. Dozens of ships lost, millions dead, and only fragments of their people left. The coalition admiral, a scaled being named Raal, stood on his cracked command bridge. His crew was tired, bloodied, eyes hollow with despair. "Send the SOS," he said with a heavy voice, "to anyone anywhere." "But Admiral," his second officer whispered, "no one will come. The Empire has crushed every ally we had." "Then send it into the dark," Raal growled. "Even myths are better than silence." And so, the signal left their ship, rushing into empty space. It was a final cry, not of hope, but of defiance. For hours nothing happened. The Empire's fleet closed in. Preparing to finish them, Raal's claws gripped the rail of his chair. His people would die, but they would die fighting. Then the sensors screamed, "Admiral!" The technician shouted, Something massive just entered the system." Every head turned. "How many ships?" Raal demanded. The answer froze the crew. We don't know," the officer stammered. "The readings don't make sense. Shadows everywhere. They are masking their numbers." On the edge of the system, space itself seemed to bend. Shadows unfolded like wings, and then, one by one, warships appeared. They were unlike any ship the Coalition or Empire had ever seen. Black hulls that swallowed light, angular designs with no banners, no signals. No identification, only silence. The Empire's fleet slowed, uncertainty spreading through its ranks. For the first time in centuries, the hunters felt fear. The Coalition bridge fell silent as they watched the new arrivals, dozens, maybe hundreds, of black ships forming a wall across the void. Each one bristled with strange weapons that glowed faintly blue. "What are they?" whispered Raal's officer. The sensors struggled to read them. "They're old," another whispered. "But no. They are advanced beyond advanced." A chill passed through the Coalition fleet. The myths had come alive. Then a voice broke across every channel, deep, cold, and clear. "This is Terran Command." It said, "Identify yourselves." The Coalition crew shivered. Some whispered the word as if afraid it would burn their tongues. "Humans." The Empire immediately sent a demand. "Unknown fleet, stand down or be destroyed." Their admiral's voice boomed across the void. "This is Imperial space." There was no answer. The black ships simply shifted formation. Faster than any computer could track, the Empire's ships moved closer. Trying to measure them, one Terran ship fired, a single bolt of light. But when it struck the Imperial cruiser, the ship simply broke apart, ripped open as if the void itself had torn it. The Coalition gasped. Raal gripped his seat tighter. His heart pounded. They were real. The humans were real. The Empire, enraged, opened fire. Hundreds of plasma bolts and missile trails streaked across the void. Yet the Terran fleet did not scatter. They moved like predators, weaving in silence, shields flickering with strange distortions. The Coalition crew watched in awe as human warships answered with weapons no one understood, cannons that bent light, projectiles that moved faster than thought, missiles that split into dozens mid-flight, hunting their targets with cruel precision within minutes. The Empire's vanguard was ash. The humans didn't even broadcast victory. They simply held their line. "Silent and waiting, Admiral," whispered the Coalition officer. "Should we run?" "No," Rahl said, his voice breaking. "Running would dishonor us. They saved us, or maybe they only delayed the end. But we cannot turn away." The cum crackled again. The same cold voice returned. "Coalition fleet, respond. Are you in need of aid?" Rahl swallowed. His throat was dry. He had faced death many times, but never this. He opened the channel, his scales shimmering in fear and awe. "This is Admiral Rahl of the Andron Coalition," he said slowly. We thank you, whoever you are." "This is Terran Command," the voice replied. "You sent a distress signal," we answered. "You are humans," Rahl whispered, unable to stop himself. The voice was silent for a long moment, then finally replied, "We are, and this galaxy has forgotten too much." The crew trembled. The myths had become flesh and steel. The Empire's remnants pulled back, their once proud fleet shaken. The Terran warships did not chase. They simply held the void, their weapons glowing faintly in warning. The Coalition fleet floated in stunned silence. What had they called? What had they awakened? Admiral Rahl closed his eyes. He thought of the stories told in shadows, about fleets vanishing, about ghosts in the dark. And now, those ghosts stood before him. The galaxy had laughed at the idea of humans. They had called them myths, lies, fables. But tonight, as the Terran fleet lit up the void, the galaxy would remember, and it would never laugh again. The Terran fleet did not move. They floated in silence, black shapes against the stars, weapons still glowing with faint light. Their presence pressed down on every ship in the system like a great shadow. The Coalition survivors trembled, unsure whether they had been saved or only spared. Admiral Rahl sat frozen in his chair. His scaled hands clenched the rail so tightly that cracks spread beneath his claws. He dared to breathe only when the human voice spoke again. "Coalition fleet," the Terran commander said, calm and unshaken. "You will transmit your situation, all details. Do not lie." The order cut through the bridge like a blade. Rahl's officers shifted nervously, whispering to one another. They had no choice, and they knew it. Rahl nodded slowly. "Begin transmission," he ordered. His technicians obeyed, sending records of battles, fleets lost, cities destroyed. They sent everything, the broken history of their last desperate years. The humans did not reply. Minutes passed, silence filling the void. The Terran ships simply drifted, watching, studying, waiting. Finally the voice returned. "You are telling the truth," the commander said. "Your people are hunted. The Empire wants you erased, and now you have called us." The Coalition crew shifted again, fear and hope clashed inside them. Rahl swallowed. "Then, will you help us?" Another silence, longer this time. Then the reply came, cold but heavy with weight. "We will. But understand this. We are not your saviors. We do not fight for your survival. We fight for balance. You will obey our commands. If you want our protection." The words burned in the crew's ears. The humans were not allies. They were something else. A force that stood above. A storm disguised as flesh. Rahl nodded. We agree," he said, though the words tasted bitter. "If you will stand with us, we will obey." "Good," the Terran voice said. "Then prepare yourselves. The Empire will return with more ships. This time we strike together." The channel closed. The bridge fell into stunned silence. "Admiral," whispered his officer, "are we truly to fight alongside humans?" Rahl looked at the dark shapes outside the window. His chest ached with fear. "Yes," he said, "because if we do not, They may destroy us just as easily. The coalition began repairs, but they had little strength left. They patched holes, charged failing shields, and tended to wounded crews. Yet their eyes always turned back to the human ships. Silent predators waiting in the dark. Hours passed, and then the Empire returned. Their fleet was massive, hundreds of ships, more than enough to crush the coalition once and for all. The Empire Admiral sneered across the channel. "Coalition vermin," he spat. "You ran to myths and shadows. Do you think ghosts can save you?" Rahl did not reply. His eyes flicked toward the humans. Then the Terran fleet moved. It was sudden, sharp, precise. The black ships broke formation and slid forward like blades drawn from scabbards. Their engines were silent, but their speed was terrifying. The Empire laughed. "Primitive tricks," their admiral jeered. "Burn them down." The void lit up as thousands of plasma bolts and missiles surged toward the human ships. But then, something impossible happened. The Terran ships vanished, not jumped, not cloaked. Their presence simply slipped from sensors. They reappeared behind the Empire's front lines, their weapons ignited with cold fury. Gravity bombs unfolded, tearing ships apart as if invisible hands had crushed them. Rail cannons fired, sending projectiles so fast that shields shattered like glass. Swarms of tiny drones burst from Terran hangars, darting like angry insects, ripping into enemy hulls. The Empire screamed in shock. Their formations crumbled as human warships tore into them with merciless precision. The coalition watched in awe, their screens filled with destruction beyond anything they had imagined. "By the stars," one officer whispered, "they are not warriors. They are executioners." Yet not all was simple victory. The humans fought brutally, but the Empire had numbers. The sky burned with fire. Dozens of Imperial ships struck back. A single Terran cruiser took a heavy blow, shields collapsing as fire ripped across its hull. Admiral Rahl's crew gasped. "One of theirs is falling." The damaged Terran ship drifted, fires spilling across its side. The Empire's forces closed in, eager to claim a kill. Rahl's heart thundered. This was the moment. Would they let the humans burn, or would they prove themselves as allies? His officers shouted, "Admiral, what do we do?" Rahl's claws dug into his chair. Every instinct screamed to stay back, to survive, yet his voice rose with steel. "Signal the fleet. Move to protect that ship now." The coalition ships groaned as they turned, charging into the storm. They poured fire into the Empire's attackers, drawing their wrath. Coalition hulls shattered. Crews screamed, but they held, shielding the broken Terran cruiser. And then the humans responded. The damaged ship's fires went dark, replaced by cold blue light. Its weapons reactivated, fiercer than before. More Terran ships swooped in, slaughtering the Empire's attackers with savage efficiency. The coalition bridge erupted in cheers. For the first time they had fought beside the myths, and the myths had answered. The battle raged for hours, but in the end, the void was quiet again. The Empire's fleet was broken, scattered wrecks drifting across the stars. The Terran commander's voice returned, still calm, still heavy. "Coalition fleet, you have proven yourselves. You stood with us, and we took notice." Rahl sat in silence, his chest heaving. He had lost half his surviving ships, yet for the first time in years, he felt something strange hope. "What now?" he asked, his voice raw. The Terran voice did not hesitate. "Now, Admiral, you follow us. The war is not over. It has only begun." Outside, the Terran fleet reformed, silent, black, unshaken. Their weapons glowed once more as they turned toward the deeper void. Admiral Rahl gripped the rail of his chair. His people had called into the dark, and the dark had answered. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battlefield was silent, only wreckage drifted. The shattered remains of Imperial ships glowing faintly as fires consumed them. The coalition fleet limped forward, battered and broken, yet their eyes were not on their wounds. They were fixed on the Terran warships. The black shapes moved through the wreckage like predators circling their kill. Their hulls bore scars, but their discipline never wavered. They reformed lines, engines glowing faint blue. Weapons still alive, Admiral Raoul sat back in his chair. His scales glistened with exhaustion, but his eyes refused to close. He whispered the word that now hung in every heart. Humans. His officers exchanged uneasy looks. They had fought beside the myths. They had lived when they should have died. Yet now the question burned deeper. What price would survival demand? The channel crackled. The Terran commander spoke again. Calm, unshaken. Coalition fleet, prepare to transmit full records. We require history, maps, and knowledge of the Empire's strength. Raoul straightened. Transmit everything. He ordered. His technicians obeyed, sending logs, charts, even secret archives. They revealed their weaknesses, their pain, their broken strength. They had no choice. Humans demanded obedience, and no one disobeyed. Hours passed. The Terrans were silent as they studied. Their ships did not rest. Drones flowed from their hangars, repairing damage, scanning debris, stripping wrecks for resources. The humans wasted nothing. At last, the voice returned. We have studied your records, the commander said. You do not understand the enemy you face. Raoul frowned. The Empire is powerful, but we have fought them for decades. No, the voice cut him off. You have fought their pawns. Their true fleets lie deeper, hidden, waiting. You have seen the claw, not the beast. Raoul's officers stiffened. Fear trickled through the bridge. If what the humans said was true, their war was already lost. The Terran commander continued. The Empire expands endlessly, but they have grown careless. They believed humans gone. They believed myths were only shadows. They are wrong. Raoul leaned forward. Then, why return now? Why help us? Silence held the air. For a long moment, the commander did not answer. Then his voice came, heavy as stone. Because this galaxy has forgotten the cost of underestimating us. The crew shivered. For centuries, humans had been ghosts. Now, the ghost spoke of vengeance. Suddenly, alarms blared. Multiple signatures inbound. Shouted the sensor officer. Not Empire. Something else. The bridge fell into silence as the new fleet emerged. Sleek ships with banners unknown. Pirates, raiders, scavengers. They had come like vultures to feed on the battle's remains. Raoul cursed. We have no strength left to fight. But the Terrans did not hesitate. Their fleet moved with lethal grace. Black ships split apart, forming hunting packs. Their weapons lit the void. Raiders screamed as their vessels were torn apart in seconds. The humans did not fight a battle. They performed an execution. Within minutes, the raider fleet was gone. Silence falling once more. Raoul's crew trembled. His second officer whispered, Admiral, these are not soldiers. They are predators, born from war itself. Raoul said nothing. His eyes never left the Terran ships. The cum opened again. Coalition. Admiral, prepare coordinates. The Terran voice ordered. We move now, Raoul stiffened. Move? Where? You will see, the humans replied. The Terran fleet jumped. The coalition ships followed. Dragged along by fear and need, the stars bent, light folding, and when it cleared, they stood in a new system. Raoul gasped, his eyes widened. Before them stretched a hidden armory of stars. Dozens no, hundreds of Terran warships rested there. More than any empire had ever gathered. They were not myths, they were an army waiting in silence. The coalition crew stared, whispers filling the bridge. By the stars. They were never gone. The Terran commander spoke again. This is one fleet of many. We have waited, hidden, building. The galaxy called us myths. That was our shield, and now the shield is gone. Raoul felt his throat tighten. Then you mean to wage war. The human voice did not deny it. The Empire believes it cannot fall. They will learn they are wrong, and you will witness it. The coalition fleet trembled. Hope and terror blended inside them. They had called for help. And found something greater, not allies, but a storm that would shake the stars. Raoul dared to ask, what do you want from us? The silence was colder this time. Loyalty, the commander said. Obedience and silence. You will not speak of what you have seen. If you betray us, we erase you. The words fell like chains across the coalition. Some officers flinched, others clenched their fists. But none dared refuse. We understand, Raoul said. His voice steady though his scales itched with fear. Good, the Terran commander replied. Then prepare. Your war has become our war, and the galaxy will soon remember what it means. To face humanity, outside, the Terran fleet lit its engines. Hundreds of ships burning with cold light. They moved as one, precise and merciless. Their shadows stretched across the stars like the wings of death itself. And as the coalition followed in their wake, Admiral Raoul whispered a truth no scholar would ever laugh at again. Humans are no myth, he said. They are the end of myths. They are real. The Terran fleet moved like a blade through the dark. Black warships spread in flawless formation. Engines whispered faint blue light. Their silence was more terrifying than any roar, for silence meant control. It meant confidence. The coalition. Ships trailed behind, smaller, weaker. Their crews watched with awe and dread. They had survived only because of the humans. And now they were chained to them. Admiral Raoul stood on his cracked bridge, his eyes fixed on the humans ahead. They were not allies. They were not friends. They were a force that bent the galaxy around them. The cum crackled. The Terran commanders. Voice filled the air. Coalition fleet, remain in formation. Do not engage unless ordered. Today you will learn how humans wage war. Raoul felt his chest tighten. He nodded. Understood. The stars shifted. The fleet emerged from warp into a burning system. Ahead stretched an Imperial armada, waiting like a wall of iron. Hundreds of ships, banners flashing, weapons already alive. The Empire had come prepared. The coalition crew gasped. We cannot win this, whispered an officer. But the Terrans did not hesitate. Their ships spread apart, forming lines like hunters circling prey. The Empire broadcast across the void. Unknown fleet, you dare trespass in Imperial space. You will burn. Your myths end today. No reply came. The humans ignored the words. Their silence was there. Answer. Then the Terran fleet struck. They moved in impossible ways. Ships bending space around them. Weapons firing faster than thought. Rail cannons tore through cruisers as if they were paper. Gravity bombs folded Imperial destroyers into twisted wrecks. Swarms of drones darted through enemy lines, ripping them open like knives through flesh. The Empire roared back. Plasma storms and missile clouds filled the void. Coalition ships trembled as the sky turned to fire, but the humans did not break. They cut through the chaos with savage precision. On Raoul's bridge, officers shouted, "Look at them! They do not dodge, they devour." But then, disaster struck. A Terran battleship at the front line was caught in a crossfire. Its shields collapsed, hull split open, flames spilling into space. The Empire surged forward. Eager for blood, Raoul's crew froze. His second officer shouted, "Admiral, if they fall, we fall." Raoul clenched his claws. His choice had come again. Stand aside and watch, or throw his broken fleet into the storm. His voice thundered. Signal all ships, shield the humans. The coalition dove forward, engines screaming. They poured fire into Imperial lines, desperate to draw attention. Coalition hulls shattered, but they stood between the Empire and the broken Terran battleship. Then, in the darkness, the humans answered. The damaged ship roared back to life. Fires died, replaced by cold blue light. Hidden weapons unfolded from its hull, unleashing a storm unlike anything seen before. The Empire's vanguard was annihilated in seconds. Raoul's crew gasped. They were never broken. The Terrans had tested them. They had allowed weakness to show, waiting to see if the coalition would stand beside them, and they had. Now the humans unleashed their true strength. The battle turned. The Empire faltered. Their proud lines shattered. Their ships scattered like frightened prey. The Terrans pursued without mercy. Each kill was swift, precise, Unstoppable, the coalition followed. Hope flickering in their hearts, they had faced doom and lived. They had stood beside the myths and found themselves still breathing. Hours passed, the void burned. With wreckage, at last, silence returned. The Empire's armada was gone. Scattered ash among the stars, Rahl slumped in his chair. His scales burned with exhaustion, his eyes heavy, but he smiled faintly for the first time in years. His crew whispered the word with trembling voices. Humans. The come opened. The Terran commander spoke, his tone steady as stone. Coalition fleet, you fought well. You chose loyalty over fear. We remember that. Rahl lifted his head. We did what honor demanded. Honor, the human voice repeated, almost amused. Perhaps you will live long enough to see what that word costs in war. The channel closed, the Terran fleet reformed. Engines burned blue once more. They did not celebrate. They did not boast. They simply prepared for the next strike. Rahl's officers turned to him. Admiral, what are they? One asked, no species fights like this. They are not warriors, they are storms given flesh. Rahl closed his eyes. They are humans, he whispered. And the galaxy will never be the same. The Terrans gave new orders, coordinates flashed. Across screens, coalition fleet, follow. The war is not finished. Today was only the beginning. Rahl looked at the map, his eyes widened. The humans were not moving away from the Empire's borders. They were plunging deeper, toward its heart. His breath caught. By the stars. They mean to strike the core. The coalition ships trembled. Fear and awe battled inside their crews. They had called for salvation. And now they followed a force that would reshape the stars. As the Terran fleet leapt forward once more, the coalition followed into the dark. Chains of destiny bound them now, for better or worse. They had thrown their lot with the myths, and the myths had returned. The Terran fleet pierced deeper into Imperial space. Black ships sliding through the dark like blades hunting flesh. Their movements were silent, their weapons glowing faint blue. No banners marked them, no signals announced their presence. They were ghosts given steel. The coalition ships followed, broken but determined. Every officer and crew member knew they were far beyond their reach. But there was no turning back. They had called for aid. And now they were chained to it. Admiral Rahl stood at the front of his bridge. His claws tapped against the rail. His heart beat slow but heavy. Report, he ordered. His officer replied, hull patched, shields at 40%, weapons recharged at 60, Rahl nodded. It was enough to limp, but not enough to fight. Their survival depended on the humans. He knew it, his crew knew it, and still, none dared speak the truth aloud. The Terran commander's voice cut through the silence. Coalition fleet, prepare to witness the strike. The Empire believes it is strong in numbers. It believes myths cannot harm it. Today we erase that belief. Rahl leaned forward. Erase? The humans answered, yes, we do not fight battles. We make examples. Before Rahl could respond, alarms rang across his bridge. The Terran fleet had dropped into a new system. At its heart floated an Imperial fortress world, bristling with fleets, defenses, and proud banners. It was the Empire's crown in this region. Rahl's officers gasped. We cannot attack this. It is suicide. But the humans did not hesitate. Their ships broke into formations tighter than any military Rahl had ever seen. Hunters circling prey, the Empire broadcast arrogance across the void. Unknown fleet, you are trespassing before the glory of the Empire. Kneel, or be destroyed. The humans gave no reply. Their silence was heavier than any threat. Then the void exploded. The Terran fleet surged forward with speed that defied reason. Drones swarmed from their hangars like black storms. Gravity bombs tore apart defensive platforms. Rail cannons cracked open capital ships. The fortress itself shuddered as human. Fire slammed into its shields. The Empire roared back. Hundreds of warships unleashed plasma storms. Missile clouds lit the void. The sky turned white with fire. Coalition crews trembled as their screens filled with chaos. no fleet can survive. This, one officer shouted, but the Terrans did not falter. They cut through the storm like predators through prey. Every move was coordinated, precise, merciless. Ral's eyes widened as he watched. They fight as if they already know the battles. And the fortress fired its main cannons, great beams that could rip moons apart. But Terran ships twisted around them, bending space, slipping through gaps that should not exist. Then, for the first time, the humans spoke to the enemy. A cold voice filled every Imperial channel. You believed humans were myths. You believed we were gone. Today you learned the truth. The fortress shook as Terran weapons slammed deeper. Shields collapsed. Fire roared across its surface. The Empire's pride became its shame. But amid the chaos, the Empire struck back. An entire squadron of heavy cruisers cornered one Terran destroyer, pounding it with relentless fire. The ship cracked, explosions bursting across its hull. Ral's crew gasped. His second officer turned. "Admiral, if it falls, the others may falter." Ral's heart pounded. His people had already bled to protect humans once. Now fate demanded it again. He shouted, "Signal all ships, intercept the cruisers." The coalition dove forward, pouring fire into the Imperial line. Their hulls shattered. Crews screamed, but they drew the enemy's wrath. The Terran destroyer recovered, its weapons reigniting, unleashing devastation on its attackers. The coalition had bled, but again, they had stood. The battle raged for hours. The fortress cracked open, its towers burning, its fleets shattered, scattered wreckage across the stars. Finally, silence fell. The coalition bridge erupted in gasps of disbelief. We did it," whispered an officer. "The fortress has fallen." Ral did not celebrate. His eyes turned toward the humans. The Terran ships floated in silence, weapons still glowing. They did not cheer. They did not boast. For them, this was not victory. This was routine. The cum opened. The Terran commander spoke, calm as stone. "Coalition fleet, you chose well again. Twice you bled for us, twice you stood. We do not forget." Ral exhaled slowly. "And now?" The human voice replied, "Now the galaxy watches. The Empire believed us gone. Now every signal will carry the truth. The Deathworlders have returned." The word spread chills through the crew. For centuries, humans had been shadows. Now they had become fire. The coalition officers turned to Ral, their faces pale. "Admiral, we have followed them into hell. But where does this road end?" Ral's eyes darkened. "It ends where the humans decide." The Terran fleet began to move again, engines burning blue. Their shadows stretched across the stars. The coalition followed, bound by chains of survival. Behind them, the Imperial fortress burned. Its proud banners turned to ash across the galaxy. Whispers began to spread. Whispers of the myths returned, of the predators who had been forgotten, of the humans, and every empire, every kingdom, every fleet that heard thee. Whispers felt the same chill. The myths were real, and they were coming. The fortress burned behind them, a dead world left in ruin. Black smoke twisted across its broken surface. Shattered fleets drifted like bones in the void. But the Terran fleet did not pause. Their engines glowed faint blue as they pushed deeper into Imperial space. The coalition ships followed, battered and limping. They were ghosts dragged by the storm. Every crew knew they were chained now, bound to the humans by survival. On the bridge of his scarred flagship, Admiral Ryle stood in silence. His claws tapped against the rail as he studied the black ships ahead. They moved as one, precise, merciless. He whispered, "They are not an army. They are inevitability." His officers glanced at him nervously. None dared to argue. The cum crackled alive. The Terran commander's voice cut through the air, calm and steady. "Coalition fleet, prepare for what comes next. You have followed US this far. Now you face the choice." Ral straightened. "Choice?" "Yes," the human voice said. "You may return to your space, live in the shadow of myths, and hope the Empire spares you. Or you may continue with us, into the heart of the storm. If you follow, there will be no turning back. Silence gripped the bridge. Officers exchanged fearful glances. Some whispered, "We cannot abandon them now." Others muttered, "If we follow, we are no longer free." Raoul's heart thundered. He saw the faces of his crew, broken yet alive. He remembered the moment when the humans answered their call. He remembered the fire of their ships. He lifted his head. "We follow." His words silenced the room. No one dared oppose. They knew it was truth. The coalition had no future without the Terrans. The human voice replied, "Then your fate is sealed. You are under Terran command. Obey, and you may survive what comes." The channel closed. The weight of chains settled heavier across the bridge. The fleet pressed forward. The stars bent, and when the jump ended, Raoul's crew gasped. Ahead stretched a system unlike any other. At its center burned not one star but three, and around them spun rings of metal. Entire belts carved into fortresses. Factories glowed. Across asteroids, hundreds, no, thousands of Terran ships rested there, black shadows waiting. The coalition whispered in awe, "This is no fleet. It is an empire." Raoul's throat tightened. "They never vanished," he whispered. "They hid, they built, and now they return." Terran drones swarmed, carrying supplies, repairing hulls, fueling ships. The humans wasted nothing. Every wreck from battles past had been harvested, every resource stripped. The coalition felt small, weak, watching an ancient predator stretch its wings. The come opened again. "Coalition fleet, your repairs will be completed here. Your ships will be armed with Terran weapons. Your crews will be retrained under Terran command." Raoul frowned. "Retrained?" "Yes," the human said. "Your tactics are crude. Your weapons weak. If you fight beside us, you must learn. You must become more than prey." Officers stiffened. Some muttered in anger. Others lowered their eyes. Raoul's jaw tightened. But he bowed his head. "We will learn." "Good," the Terran voice replied. Days passed. Terran drones swarmed through coalition ships, tearing apart old weapons, installing new systems. The crews watched nervously as their vessels became half-human machines. Their shields glowed strange blue. Their cannons hummed with power they did not understand. Training began. Terran officers, cold and efficient, drilled coalition crews. Every mistake was punished, every weakness exposed. The coalition bled in exercises, humiliated by the standards of their new masters. Yet slowly, painfully they learned. Raoul walked among his crews. He saw exhaustion in their eyes, but also something new: precision, control, strength. For the first time, his people were becoming more than survivors. They were becoming predators. But unease grew. Some officers whispered in the dark, "We are no longer the coalition. We are Terran slaves," others argued. "Better slaves to humans than ashes to the Empire." Raoul listened but did not answer. His heart was torn. The humans had saved them, yet bound them. He could not tell if they were saviors or overlords then. The Terrans summoned him. He entered a black warship, guided through steel corridors. Soldiers lined the halls, armored in black suits. Their helmets bore no faces, their silence heavier than words. At last he was brought before a chamber. The Terran commander stood there, a tall figure wrapped in shadow, his face hidden behind a dark visor. His voice echoed, "Admiral Raoul, you have chosen loyalty. Now you must understand." Raoul bowed slightly. "I serve as ordered." The commander shook his head. "Not service, understanding. Do you know why the galaxy calls us myths?" Raoul hesitated. "Because you vanished." "Not vanished," the human corrected. "Withdrawn. We fought wars so brutal the galaxy trembled. Empires begged for peace. But we saw the truth. The galaxy would never stop consuming itself, so we left. We built. We waited." Raoul's scales chilled. Waited for what? The Terran commander stepped closer. His visor glowed faint blue. "Waited for the galaxy to forget fear. Because when fear dies, arrogance grows. And arrogance invites us back." Raoul's chest tightened. He understood now. The humans had not returned for mercy. They had returned because the galaxy had grown bold, too bold. The commander's voice dropped lower. "The Empire believes itself eternal. Tomorrow we shatter that illusion. You will witness it." Rahl swallowed. His claws trembled. "And when the Empire falls?" The Terran paused. Silence filled the chamber. Then came the answer, cold and final. "Then the galaxy kneels. Balance must be restored. Humanity will decide how." Rahl's heart pounded. He bowed his head. We will stand." The commander nodded. "Good. Then tomorrow you march with us into history." When Rahl returned to his ship, his crew saw the fear in his eyes. He gave no speech, he only whispered, "Prepare yourselves." The Coalition fleet floated among giants, their hulls glowing with Terran weapons. Their crews retrained, their destiny sealed. Ahead burned the stars of the Empire's core. The storm was coming, and in the silence before war, every soul in the Coalition understood the truth. Humans were not myths. Humans were not saviors. Humans were the storm that decided who lived and who died. And tomorrow, the galaxy would learn that truth again. The galaxy's core burned ahead. Imperial banners filled the stars. Fleets stretched across the void like iron walls. Entire worlds glowed with defenses. It was the heart of power, the pride of the Empire. For centuries, no enemy had dared approach it, but now the myths had come. The Terran fleet emerged from the dark, black warships unfolding in perfect lines. Their engines whispered blue fire. Their weapons glowed like hungry eyes. Behind them followed the battered Coalition, remade with Terran steel. Admiral Rahl stood at his bridge, his scales tightened with fear. He whispered to his crew, "We are standing at the edge of history." The cum cracked open. The Terran commander's voice filled every ear, calm and unshaken. "Today the galaxy remembers. Today the Empire learns fear. All ships prepare for strike." The Empire broadcast their arrogance. "Unknown fleet, you trespass before the eternal throne. Kneel or be annihilated." But the humans did not answer. They never did. Their silence was the reply. Then the void erupted. Terran ships surged forward, engines cutting through the black, weapons blazing. Drones swarmed like storms of steel. Gravity bombs bent cruisers into twisted metal. Rail cannons split destroyers apart. The Empire roared back. Plasma beams and missile clouds filled the stars. The sky turned into fire. Coalition crews trembled. Their screens shook with chaos, yet their new Terran weapons cut deeper than ever. Before, they fought as predators, not prey. Rahl shouted above the storm, "Hold the line. Fight with them." His ships burned, but they did not run. They had bled for the humans, and now the humans bled beside them. The Empire unleashed their great dreadnoughts, vast vessels larger than cities. Their cannons glowed, beams slicing through space. A Coalition frigate was erased in seconds. Rahl's heart ached. But the Terrans did not falter. They turned as one. Black warships circled the dreadnoughts, striking with merciless precision. The void shook as one dreadnought split open, fire pouring into the dark. The second fell moments later, ripped apart by drones swarming like insects of death. The Coalition crews gasped. They had never seen power like this. But the Empire was not done. At the heart of their lines rose the throne ship, the largest vessel ever built. Its banners stretched across its hull. Its cannons could break worlds. It fired once. A beam of white fire tore through the void. A Terran cruiser vanished in silence. The Coalition bridge froze. Their officers whispered, "Even humans cannot stop that." Rahl's claws dug into the rail. His heart thundered. But the Terran commander's voice came calm, cold, unbroken. "Target the throne." The Terran fleet moved as one, their weapons unleashed. Gravity bombs cracked the throne ships. Shields, rail cannons hammered its armor. Drones swarmed its flanks. The Empire screamed in defiance, pouring fire into the Black Fleet. Coalition ships dove beside them. Rahl shouted, "For survival! For freedom!" His fleet poured everything into the fight. They burned, they broke, but they stood. The throne ship roared. Its cannons unleashed storm after storm. Dozens of ships were lost, Terran and Coalition alike. The void became a grave then. The Terran commander spoke. Activate judgment. From the heart of the Terran fleet, a single ship moved forward. Its hull glowed with strange blue fire. Its shape was older, darker, heavier than the rest. It carried silence like a crown. The throne ship fired on it. Beams cut through space. But the judgment did not fall. Its shields bent, twisted, turned the fire back, then its weapons opened. Single shot left its hull. It did not explode. It did not blaze. It simply bent the void itself. The throne ship screamed. Its armor cracked. Its banners burned. Its heart split open. The pride of the Empire died in silence. The galaxy's core fell quiet. The Empire's fleet scattered, their courage shattered. Their worlds flickered with fear. They had seen the truth. The myths had returned. And they were death. On his bridge, Admiral Raal's crew stared in awe. Tears filled their eyes. "It is over," whispered one. "The Empire has fallen," Raal exhaled slowly. His chest heavy, he whispered, "No, this is only the beginning." The cum opened. The Terran commander's voice filled the void once more. "Coalition fleet, you fought with us. You bled with us. You stood when others would have run. Remember this day. For today you are no longer prey." Raal bowed his head. "We will remember." The Terran voice grew colder. "And so will the galaxy. Humanity has returned. The age of myths is over. The age of truth begins." Across the stars, signals carried the image of the fallen throne ship. They carried the voice of the Terrans. Civilizations trembled. Kings and queens whispered in fear. Merchants hid their wealth. Soldiers prayed to silent gods. The Deathworlders were not gone. They were here. The Coalition fleet floated in silence, staring at the black warships ahead. They were scarred, but unbroken. "Predators given flesh," Raal whispered. "We called into the dark, and the dark answered." The Terran fleet turned, engines glowing faint blue. They did not celebrate. They did not rest. They simply moved forward, deeper into the stars, for their war was not done. Raal gripped the rail. His crew waited. His voice came steady. "Follow them." And so the Coalition followed. Bound by choice, by chains, by destiny. The galaxy would never laugh at myths again, for the humans had returned. And they would decide the shape of tomorrow.